External debt. External loan, or foreign debt, is the total debt which the residents of a country owe to foreign creditors. Its complement is internal debt, which is owed to domestic lenders. The debtors can be the government, corporations or citizens of that country. The debt includes money owed to private commercial banks, foreign governments, or international financial institutions such as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank. Note that the use of gross liability figures greatly distorts the ratio for countries which contain major money centers such as the United Kingdom due to London's role as a financial capital. Contrast with net international investment position. Definition. According to the International Monetary Fund, gross external debt is the amount, at any given time, of disbursed and outstanding contractual liabilities of residents of a country to non-residents to repay principal, with or without interest, or to pay interest, with or without principal. In this definition, the IMF defines the key elements as follows. Generally, external debt is classified into 4 heads. However, the exact treatment varies from country to country. For example, while Egypt maintains this 4-head classification, in India it is classified in 7 heads. External debt sustainability. Sustainable debt is the level of debt which allows a debtor country to meet its current and future debt service obligations in full, without recourse to further debt relief or rescheduling, avoiding accumulation of arrears, while allowing an acceptable level of economic growth. External debt sustainability analysis is generally conducted in the context of medium-term scenarios. These scenarios are numerical evaluations that take account of expectations of the behavior of economic variables and other factors to determine the conditions under which debt and other indicators would stabilize at reasonable levels, the major risks to the economy, and the need and scope for policy adjustment. In these analyses, macroeconomic uncertainties, such as the outlook for the current account, and policy uncertainties, such as for fiscal policy, tend to dominate the medium-term outlook. The World Bank and IMF hold that a country can be said to achieve external debt sustainability if it can meet its current and future external debt service obligations in full, without recourse to debt rescheduling or the accumulation of arrears, and without compromising growth. According to these 2 institutions, bringing the net present value, NPV, of external public debt down to about 150% of a country's exports or 250% of a country's revenues would help eliminating this critical barrier to longer-term debt sustainability. High external debt is believed to be harmful for the economy. Indicators. There are various indicators for determining a sustainable level of external debt. While each has its own advantage and peculiarity to deal with particular situations, there is no unanimous opinion amongst economists as to a sole indicator. These indicators are primarily in the nature of ratios, i.e., comparison between 2 heads and the relation thereon, and thus facilitate the policymakers in their external debt management exercise. These indicators can be thought of as measures of the country's solvency in that they consider the stock of debt at certain time in relation to the country's ability to generate resources to repay the outstanding balance. Examples of debt burden indicators include This set of indicators also covers the structure of the outstanding debt, including a second set of indicators focuses on the short-term liquidity requirements of the country with respect to its debt service obligations. These indicators are not only useful early warning signs of debt service problems, but also highlight the impact of the intertemporal trade-offs arising from past borrowing decisions. Examples of liquidity monitoring indicators include The final indicators are more forward-looking, as they point out how the debt burden will evolve over time, given the current stock of data and average interest rate. The dynamic ratios show how the debt burden ratios would change in the absence of repayments or new disbursements, indicating the stability of the debt burden. An example of a dynamic ratio is the ratio of the average interest rate on outstanding debt to the growth rate of nominal GDP.